Hello everybody, this is Mr. Rob and welcome back to another episode of the Delaware Fightin Blue Hens Dynasty here on EA Sports College Football 26, where today we are going to go through Conference Championship Week in the college football landscape. Obviously the Blue Hens will not be in the Conference Championships, but we get to figure out today if we're going to go to our first ever bowl game, so there's still some excitement on the docket for Delaware and figure out who's also going to make the college football playoff. So if you're excited for this one, make sure you drop a like and you subscribe down below, especially if you want more Dynasty mode content. Now, we did not make the conference championship this year. We went 8-4 and 6-3 in the Conference USA, an improvement off of last year. And with 8 wins, we should be going bowling as well. And one thing I thought about before the week is, do we fire a coordinator? I thought about potentially switching some things up in the coaching staff with Terrence Archer at offensive coordinator and Manny Rojas at defensive coordinator. At the end of the day, I am not going to fire a coordinator. I really thought about moving on from our OC this year. I thought our offense was a little shaky, and with Blake Brown graduating, I'm not sure if Archer is really the guy for the spot. But I'm going to hold off on it. I thought he did pretty good overall, and I'll give him another year next season. I thought the defense played well, so I think Rojas is fine where he's at. But let's go ahead and preview the conference championship games, because there is a lot on the line this year in terms of these conference championship games. The playoff could be blown wide open depending on these results. We'll start off on Friday. There's going to be the Conference USA Championship, our championship game, where the Jacksonville State Gamecocks will face the Florida International Panthers. I expect the Panthers to win this game. They have been the best team in the conference all season. And outside of that, there's really not much to play for in terms of this conference. The Pac-12 Championship game, we have returned for the Pac-12, and it will be played on the home team's field. And I think that's how it's going to be for the future of this series. I thought about moving it to Allegiant Stadium like I did last year, but, just to kind of keep things different and just to not be so over the top with expansion this year and realignment, I think I'm just going to keep it at whoever the higher seed is. In this case, the first Pac-12 championship game in the new era will be played on the blue turf, because the 21st ranked Boise State Broncos will play the Oregon State Beavers. And there's still a lot on the line in this game, because the Broncos right now are the Group of 5 representative, and they could be for the third straight season. But if they lose this game, they will probably get out of the playoff. Well, they wouldn't probably, they would. And I don't think Oregon State at 6-6 is good enough to make the playoffs. So this is a win or bust game for Boise State and the Pac-12 in general. Then we move on to the Mountain West Championship game between Nevada and the Northern Illinois Huskies. Good job by NIU to make it to the Mountain West Championship in their first game here in this conference. And I've thought about doing some minor realignments in the offseason. Let me know in the comment section if you wanted to see that. But I thought about moving Nevada to the Pac-12. And if this was the case, this would be their last Mountain West Championship game. Again, this one could be an outside shot, I think, at a playoff. If Boise State loses, I could see the winner of this potentially make it in, but that is a long shot. Then we move over to Saturday, starting off with the first of the Power 4 conferences. We have the Arizona State Sun Devils and the 16th ranked Texas Tech Red Raiders in Arlington, Texas at AT&T Stadium. This is probably the wild card of the 4 Power 4 conferences. This one you have the most to play for, in my opinion. The Red Raiders are slated to make the playoff right now, but if they lose, they don't get in. And although Arizona State is not ranked, I think just looking at the quality of the other conference championship games, I think if the Sun Devils do win this game, they will make it back to the playoffs. So I do think this is a play-in-you're-in type of game, so that should lead to a lot on the line in Jerry's world. Up next, we have the MAC Championship between the Buffalo Bulls and the Toledo Rockets at Ford Field. If you would have asked me a couple weeks ago, I thought the Bulls would have had a good chance at making the playoff with a win here in this one, but they've lost 2 straight, and maybe a win will push them over with a Boise State loss and a potential Texas Tech loss, but I'm not sure. But I think the Bulls have something to play for, and I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility that we see a MAC champion in the playoff. That's just how up for grabs it is this year. Up next, we have the Sun Belt Championship, the Georgia Southern Eagles and the Louisiana Raging Cajuns in Lafayette. the only conference with divisions, and it's the Sun Belt Conference. But other than that, not much on the line here. The American Football Championship, Temple versus South Florida in Tampa at the home of the Bulls. And the Bulls could, again, make the playoff if they win this game and Boise State loses. A lot of these scenarios just require the Broncos to lose. If Boise State wins, all this stuff is kind of mute. But still, some intrigue there as well in South Florida. And then we get into the big three. The SEC Championship up first in Atlanta. Number 2, Florida. Number 4, Georgia. This is a lock for a first-round bye, and honestly, the losing team could still get a first-round bye, but a huge game in the SEC. The Big Ten has a big game, and it's an interesting one. It's number 8, Nebraska, and number 7, UCLA in Lucas Oil Stadium in Indianapolis. Two teams that I think have really done a good job of competing in the Big Ten, and the winner of this will potentially get a first-round bye, depending on how the other games play out. And the last game is the game of the week. It is the best game in Charlotte. Number 3, Miami Hurricanes versus the number 1 Duke Blue Devils, who finished 12-0 in the regular season. I think both these teams deserve a first-round bye, especially if Duke loses. I think Miami still deserves it with a loss. But that is the game of the week. So, some interesting conference championship games. Let's go ahead and simulate the week and see what happens and see where we end up this year in the bowl games. All right, so we start off in the Conference USA where the Panthers do get it done, but only by a point. It was a very interesting game, and FIU does get the victory. Boise State does lose to Oregon State 21-13, so the first Pac-12 champions are Oregon State. I think that's apropos considering they've stuck around through the two-team conference. So good job for the Beavers. That leaves the rest of the playoff wide open for potential conference champs. Northern Illinois beats Nevada by 3, 28-25, so in their first year in the Mountain West, the Huskies are your champions. In the Big 12, Arizona State does upset Texas Tech, so that'll knock the Red Raiders out of the playoff. And I think Arizona State, by the look of their ranking, has made the playoffs again. The Sun Devils, once again, back in with the Big 12. Buffalo dominates Toledo in the MAC Championship 30-8, and despite an 11-win season, it's not enough to get a berth this year. Georgia Southern doubles up Louisiana in the Sun Belt to claim victory. And then South Florida Bulls dominate Temple in the American Championship. And you can see their record and their ranking. The Bulls are the 12th seed. They get into the college football playoff. That's why you never give up as they beat Temple and get some things to go their way. And they are now in the playoff. The Georgia Bulldogs will beat Florida 35-28, moving up to number 2, while Florida looks like they will not get a first-round bye. In the Big Ten, UCLA will knock off Nebraska 37-14. They get a first-round bye, and being the 11th seed, does Nebraska hold on? Because right now it says them and Arizona State are both ranked 11. So what's the bracket going to look like? And then Duke does go down. Miami beats the Blue Devils, and they're your ACC champions 28-3, giving the Blue Devils their first loss of the season. As far as how the bracket is going to look, here is your college football playoff bracket. Miami number 1, Georgia number 2, 3 is Duke, 4 is UCLA, and your other two champions, Arizona State and South Florida. Nebraska loses in the Big Ten championship, and they get knocked out of the playoff. Not Louisville, who didn't play, but Nebraska. A lot of controversy going down in the championship games. You'll have to see how that unfolds in the conference championships and college football landscape in the future. But right now, here's a look at your bracket. In the first round will be Florida, South Florida. That should be an interesting game. Notre Dame, Texas, Alabama, Arizona State, and then South Carolina and Louisville in your 2026 college football playoff, which we will go through in the next couple of episodes and figure out who will be in the national championship. As far as the Blue Hens, do we get into a bowl game? Well, let's sim the week. I think we had a similar week to find out. Get some awards as well. The Heisman Trophy winner is DJ Lagway of Florida, 4,100 yards, 40 touchdowns. So DJ Lagway is your first Florida quarterback since Tim Tebow to claim the Heisman. As far as your Delaware Blue Hens, we will be going to the Boca Raton Bulls, who face Southern Miss in our first bowl game here in the series. That's going to be an exciting one. I cannot wait to play that game, considering we have made a bowl game for the first time ever. Here's a look at the Southern Miss Eagles. We'll take a look at their roster, so to speak, as they made the playoff last year as the Sun Belt champions. It has obviously been a down year for Southern Miss, but this is still a team that made the playoff last year. Still a lot of talent and experience on this team, and I think they are the favorites going into this game. They have a solid offense, some good weapons, a talented defense, so we're going to have our hands full despite their record being 6-6. But that'll be in the next episode. We will play the Boca Raton Bowl and play our first ever bowl game here in the series. But thank you guys so much for watching this one. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, make sure you drop a like and you subscribe down below, especially if you want more Dynasty Mode content. This is Mr. Rob, and I'll see you in the next one.